Welcome to today's class. Today we are going to learn about research instruments. Research instruments is our topic today. They are also called data collection tools. So either research instruments or data collection tools. So we're saying that an instrument is also a tool, just like I have described, and it's a device that is used to collect data. So if you come across a research instrument or a research tool, please just understand that it's a device that is used to collect data. There are research instruments that are widely used in research or data collection tools. One of them is a questionnaire. The second one is an interview. The third one is an observation. The fourth one is checklists. And the last one is case studies. So all these are data collection instruments or the tools that somebody can use to be able to collect data from participants. So we are going to look at each one of them in depth so that we understand what we are talking about. So when you talk about questionnaire, we're saying that each item in the questionnaire is developed to address a specific objective or a research question or a hypothesis of the study. So one, and I know you have come across questionnaires there before. You just get a sheet of paper with several questions that the researcher has written down for you to answer so that you can give them the information that they need. Now, there are two types of questions that you will find in a questionnaire. One is as either a structured or a closed-ended question, and the other one is an unstructured or an open-ended question. So in a questionnaire, when you get a questionnaire, try to look through what type of questions are there. Are they structured or closed? Are they unstructured or open-ended? And what do we mean by that? When you talk about structured or close-ended questions, these are questions that are accompanied by a list of possible alternatives from which the respondents can choose from. You can remember especially the quizzes that we normally do. There's a question and then there is multiple answer, A, B, C, and D. So that is a kind of a close-ended question. For example, we can cite some examples from here. Do you have a dog as a pet? So you can either indicate no or indicate yes. Or do you have a driver's license? It's either a yes or a no. So that's an example of a structured or close-ended question. We can also have another example, like you can see there. What do you like best about your job? So there is either A, B, C, and D, and you're free to tick whichever one you think applies. So those are examples of structured or close-ended questions. Then number two, we have unstructured or open-ended questions. Here we are saying that they refer to questions which give the respondent complete freedom of response. Actually, you realize according to the amount of space that is provided, you are guided on whether to give a brief or a lengthy answer. So these ones, they give you complete freedom to explain exactly what you feel about a situation, considering the question that you are supposed to be answering. So you realize that open-ended question is like, why don't you eat ice cream, for example, at the cream parlor? And somebody has written a very long answer. I am lactose intolerant, so I can't eat most ice creams. And they continue and continue and continue because it's an open-ended question. But now if you look at this, the closed-ended one, it is the same question, but somebody is allowed to tick, and you can always maybe tick one or two. But for open-ended question, you have a lot of freedom to explain what you feel. The second data instrument is an interview. An interview. So an interview is an oral face-to-face administration of a questionnaire or an interview schedule. So to obtain accurate information through interviews, a researcher needs to obtain the maximum cooperation from the respondents. So here you sit with a respondent and you have the questions. They could either be in a questionnaire form or they could be written down in whatever form. Then you sit down with a respondent and you are able to ask questions as they help you to answer. So the first picture there is how an interview is conducted. You can see the person on the right here has a multiple or has a number of questions. And then on the left, we have the interviewee who is trying to respond to the questions. So that is how an interview is carried out. And we are saying that it is also a data collection tool. Now we have some interviews that we call personal interviews. We are saying that people are selected to be part of the sample, or other people selected to be part of the sample are interviewed by a trained interviewer. We are very cautious about a trained interviewer because if you're not prepared, if you're not trained, sometimes you may not be able to meet your objective. It is good for you to be able to know how do you control that interview? What information do you really want to get from the participant? And so when you're doing that, there are some requirements that you're supposed to look at. The participant you have chosen must possess the information that you are targeting. So when you are doing your due diligence before the interview, try to find out, has the person that I've invited, does they possess the information that I want? Does the participant or the person who is giving you information understand their role in the interview as far as providing accurate information? That is very, very important because remember we said that we do research so that we can be able to solve managerial problems as far as business research is concerned. Now you can imagine getting information that is not accurate. So you need to get a participant who will give you accurate information concerning a certain phenomena. The participant must receive adequate motivation to cooperate. It is good for you to prepare them before. Tell them this is what we are doing, these are the benefits of this study, so that when they sit with you, they can be able to open up and give you the information that you really want. Another category of interviews is called a telephone interview. So we are saying here that people selected to be part of the sample are interviewed on the telephone by a trained interviewer. Remember, we are repeating again, a trained interviewer, because it's very, very important for somebody to be trained to be able to carry out an interview. You need to know how to carry it and carry it in the right manner so that you are able to get answers to the problems that you want. So for telephone interview, you may not have a seat with somebody in a place face to face, but you can do it via telephone. Maybe because somebody is in another town and they don't have time to travel. Somebody is in another country and they don't have to travel. So many factors. So if you consider telephone interview, make sure that the other person is well prepared. They are seated in somewhere where there is no noise, no distraction. They are able to hear you. You are able to hear them. Then you can be able to converse and get the answers that you want. So those are so many advantages of doing telephone interviews. We are talking about, an expanded geographical coverage, so that if somebody is in a very far place, in a different county, you can still be able to collect data. You are also talking about, lower cost in terms of they are not required to travel where you are. You're not required to travel where they are. So it will save some costs. So there are quite a number of advantages of telephone interviews, and you can be able to look at them. The other one is tape recording. The interview's questions and the respondents' answers are recorded either using a tape recorder or a video tape. So here you are carrying out an interview, but instead of writing the answers from the participant, you actually record them through a gadget. It can be a tape recorder, or these days people even use phones to be able to record all the information. You realize that some of the interviews can be very long. So you can imagine sitting with somebody for more than 30 minutes. There's a lot of information that will come through. And because you really want to exhaust that information, the best thing would be to record the information so that later you are able to play the tape recorder and you can transcribe, or you're able to listen through and through for you to be able to get what exactly was a participant telling me. And of course, it has got its own advantages, like you can play it back so many times. In case there's something that you feel that you missed, you play it back and you listen. And you are able to collect a lot of data compared to when you are just writing. So that is also a way of collecting data through interviews. You can see a gadget there. We have these tape recorders and even more sophisticated ones today from the market. So this one may be a little bit old-fashioned, but we have very new ones. Depending with the technology, we have very new ones that can help you collect data. The fourth one is observation method, or the third one for that matter. Observation is a systematic data collection approach. Researchers use all of their senses to examine people in natural settings or naturally occurring situations. Observation of a field setting involves prolonged engagement in a setting or a social situation. Here, you are collecting data through a systematic data collection approach called observation. You're using your senses. You are looking, observing. You are listening. What are they saying? You can be able to feel what is going on. You can be able to smell what is going on. You can be able to look at people's behaviors, body language, and you're able to collect a lot of data from that. And I believe for most of, especially of the data collection approaches, especially in a hospital setting, you can imagine when somebody is trying to collect data from a patient. Maybe this patient is not talking, maybe they are unconscious. So you are there with all your gadgets as a doctor. You're looking at how they're behaving. You're listening to any sound, any voice. You're able to look at their facial expression. You are able to look at their body language, and you can be able to collect a lot of data. Same to a case where perhaps you're doing a research in early childhood. Maybe there's a research that you're supposed to do, and it's about how children are interacting. And remember, children are your participants. And you can imagine a 3-year-old or 4-year-old. They cannot be able to fill any of your questionnaire. They cannot even be able to sit still for an interview of about 10 minutes. So what do? You request for information from the teachers or from the parents or from wherever, and then you go to their normal setting. And from there, you are able to sit and be able to observe. How are they doing their things? What are they saying? What are they doing? Are you able to smell anything? How are they interacting with one another? And so you're able to collect a lot of information from observation. So we are saying that it's also a very rich method of collecting data. So your work is to observe what is happening. And as you observe, you write down. You can see other fields where observation is also used. Like you can imagine for Kenya Wildlife Service, they may want to collect data about a certain animal, be it an elephant, a lion, whatever. They can be able to use their binoculars from wherever they are, either in a vehicle or wherever, and be able to collect data on how the animals are behaving, and so on and so forth. And the last one is a case study. A case study is a research strategy and an empirical inquiry that investigates a phenomena within its real-life context. It's a process or record of research into the development of a particular person, group, or a situation over a period of time. So case study has also been used so much in research as a way of collecting data. And I know you have always looked at some research. Somebody says effects of high labor turnover, a case study of this and this bank, a case study of this and this university, a case study of this and this hospital. So what basically they are doing is they're trying to collect data from a particular place in a real life context. For example, if you wanted to collect data concerning maybe student engagement in St. Paul's University, you'll be required to come to St. Paul's University because it's a real life context, and interact with the students and see what you can be able to gain from how they are interacting with one another and engaging with one another. So in that situation, you sort of limit yourself to a particular real life context. If it's a particular hospital, you concentrate on it. and look at all the aspects as far as your research is concerned. If it is a bank, you concentrate yourself with that particular bank, collect that data from that particular bank and get the information. And it's not only an organization. We are also thinking about an individual. For example, you may do a case study of a certain personality, a certain politician. It can also be a social group somewhere. Maybe it is in a church or even a community group in a particular village. Maybe there are things they have been doing together and you're collecting data from them. So it can be an organization, it can be an individual, it can be a social group, it can be a community, it can be a church. But you're concentrating yourself with what those people are doing and trying to study that particular context by going actually where they are, and you collect a lot of information. So thank you so much for listening to me. That is all about research instruments. And of course, this is not just all. There are so many instruments that you can be able to read about. But for the sake of our class, at least this is sufficient for us to be able to understand what are research instruments and what are data or data collection instruments. So thank you so much for listening to me. We will have another class next time. Thank you and God bless.